Hello everyone and welcome to the second race of the F1 2016 season. Now, for anyone who doesn't know what happened in the previous episode, please go check out that previous episode. Until then, thank you so much for the support. It seems like a lot of you actually do like this, and hopefully we can continue it even more. Now, it's the Bahrain Grand Prix, and Bahrain is a track I was not looking forward to driving the Haas. The Haas is not a very good car in like tight, technical, high-speed tracks. And whilst this track isn't so much like that, it's still got some high-speed corners, and I knew that I would have to lift and brake quite a lot in certain corners. Having said this, the Grand Prix weekend started off pretty well. I did do a lot of laps, doing track accumulation, tire management, and qualifying pace, all of which I actually got full points for, which is pretty amazing considering everything. And actually at the same time, whilst doing some of these on-track assignments, I actually did do a pretty decent job in practice. The time seemed to be pretty close, and overall it seemed like I was heading in the right direction with the car. I also had a new upgrade on the car, which did boost the aerodynamics just a little bit. I didn't notice a big enough difference, but in certain high-speed corners I definitely did see it. Having said this, I then used a little bit of my research points on saving chassis weight, which was also important, and of course trying to accomplish a lot of team tasks at the same time. Now in FP2, as you know, I like to change the setup and sort of customize it around how I'm feeling with the car throughout the whole weekend. Generally speaking, I actually felt the balance of the car was much better than what I found in Australia. Maybe the car just suited better Bahrain over Australia. I'm not 100% sure, but it was a pretty good start to the weekend, so I didn't do too much adjustments. I did upload my latest setup onto Steam, so you guys can go check it out and use it yourself. Like I said, feel free to share your setups and little tips and tricks in the comment section below. I'm interested, I think other people are interested, and hopefully I can use some of your ideas or you can use some of mine to improve qualifying lap time and race lap time. During practice, I did set some pretty good times. I think I was in the top 4 or something like that, which seemed to really boost up my confidence throughout the whole weekend. And it seemed like it's going pretty well so far, even though I didn't really expect it to go too well. Now qualifying arrived, and it couldn't arrive any sooner. I was not looking forward to it, not confident at all, though the first 2 laps seemed very okay-ish. I think for some part I was like in the top 3, and then I dropped down because my times were just not quick enough. And then I realized, stupidly enough, that I was on used Super Softs, which is kind of a noob thing to forget about. So I upgraded my tire, I changed my tire setup, and boosted it up to, I believe, a new set of super soft tires, which saved me another soft tire for the Grand Prix weekend. Overall, I did start to get a good feeling with the car, and I started to realize some amazing lap time difference. The first lap I did was about 1 or 2 tenths slower, and then the second time I did it, I was 7 tenths up going into Sector 2. But my lap to finish my lap was not so easy, because then I hit a lot of traffic and I had to evade. I even got a warning, and it really sucked because the lap could have been a lot better. Having said this, it did eventually make me out-qualify Max Verstappen, which for anyone who's ever met me before knows that I don't like this guy, so I really, really wanted to beat him, even if it is just a frickin' F1 2016. So I did out-qualify him, weirdly enough, and overall it was a good qualifying session. I actually finished 5th, which was ridiculous because Haas shouldn't be in 5th place, yet it is. So it was pretty amazing, and overall I was kind of looking forward to the race because I knew my starts would be pretty decent, but I had to tidy up my driving a little bit more. Now the race began. I didn't really change too much my setup. Again, I put pit within 4 laps or so and tried to be the earliest of the front runners. This turned out to be a bit of a mistake. You'll see a little later why. We did the formation lap, moved on. I did the formation lap and moved on. The start was pretty okay, had a pretty decent getaway. By turn 1, I think it was in 4th place. and I passed a couple of cars, and surprisingly, I did a pretty good overtake, a diving overtake past Daniel Ricciardo and Sebastian Vettel. It was pretty freaking awesome, and I was up into P2. Now, if you didn't think this would get any better, it does, because it got to the point where I was actually quicker than Kimi Räikkönen. I don't know why. I think because I was pushing ridiculously hard, and I don't think Kimi and Sebastian and Daniel were pushing as hard in the first few laps of the race. But I just did, and I did a pretty good job to pass Kimi Räikkönen to take the lead of the Bahrain Grand Prix. So I actually led the Grand Prix at that point for around 2 or 3 laps. And it just kind of got a little worse towards the 3rd or 4th stint. Unfortunately, I didn't blow my tires, but I was losing a lot of grip and my times were kind of declining. So lap 4, I definitely had to pit, even though it kind of felt better the slower I was going. And for some reason, I was pulling a tiny little gap more from Kimi Räikkönen, but it was still way too close to call, and I didn't want to take the risk and stay up 1 more extra lap. So from lap 5 all the way to around lap 7 or 8, I pushed really hard. I had to pass a lot of cars on the soft tires, and the soft tires actually did a pretty decent job, but I pushed way too hard in the early stint. I did pass a lot of cars, and I did come out ahead of Kimi Räikkönen and Sebastian Vettel, which was important because those cars seemed to be quite slow. And it took Nico Rosberg, who was coming up really quickly, and he seems to be on fire so far as I can see from this season. I had to pull away, try to pull away as big of a gap as possible. But unfortunately, with like 2 or 3 laps to go, around lap 11, I got this message.
Engine is showing small signs of wear. Power output will be down.
Yeah, I thought this was just a tiny little error in the game or something like that. I thought that, okay, the sound, like, it doesn't seem like to be such big of an issue. I just have to continue driving. But really in F1 2016, if you have just a little bit of a problem, it screws up your race completely. And immediately I got caught up by the other guys. I was just so much slower. And I could feel it in the straights. I had to downshift a lot more, and I had to upshift a lot slower. And that loses you at least about a second or a few tenths. And it's kind of hard to explain just in words, but it was just frustrating to play. So I had to defend Nico Rosberg, who passed both Ferraris at this point, Sebastian Vettel, and Kimi Räikkönen, who were on much better tires, and were doing a far better job than I was at this point. And then I was actually doing a pretty decent job. I had some pretty good fighting with Nico Rosberg, and all the time I seemed to brake a lot later than those guys. And it seemed like to be a pretty good start to what was going to be a difficult final few laps. And eventually, we got into the final lap. I got into the final lap, sorry. And it was looking really good. All of a sudden, I was a little bit further than I thought I was. And then I screwed up my final corner, ran wide, slowed down way too much. And in the final frickin' straight, I lost the Grand Prix by 0.06 tenths of a second, so 0.06 of a second. Screw my life. I mean, that was pure Ebola. I really was ticked off. I think I had to have a cold shower after that. It was just so annoying. I was ticked off, and I really didn't want to lose. It was there. The victory was there for the taking. It would have been an amazing Grand Prix victory, but it was not meant to be, and I feel like that was the last time I had a chance of winning a Grand Prix the whole season. Anyway, apart from that, it was a pretty good race, and it showed that Haas are actually improving, and I'm starting to actually get used to the car, and I actually really like it. So that was it for this week's video. Sorry, for today's video. Check out tomorrow. Hopefully the Chinese Grand Prix will be a far more successful story. Take care, folks, and I'll talk to you soon. Hello everyone, Delta here. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this video, don't forget to like, and don't forget also to comment below. If you dislike it, be sure to also comment below and let me know what you think. I'm always trying to improve, as you can probably expect. And if you like my videos in general, don't forget to click the subscribe button down below. If you like any of my other videos, don't forget to go check them out as per usual. Till then, I'll see you all soon, and thank you very much for watching.